Imagine this. You're on your deathbed looking back at your life. What will you see? A life filled with achievements, memories, and fulfilled potential? Or will you be haunted by the ghost of what could have been? Dreams abandoned, talents wasted, opportunities missed. All because you couldn't overcome the comfortable pull of laziness and procrastination. This isn't just a hypothetical scenario. This is the reality we're all heading toward, one day at a time. The question isn't if you'll face this moment, but what you'll feel when you do. Time. It's the only resource we can never get back, never buy more of, never truly save. We all have the same 24 hours each day, yet some people manage to build empires, transform industries, and leave lasting legacies, while others barely make it through their Netflix queue. What's the difference? Is it talent, intelligence, luck? The answer might surprise you. Today, we're going to explore the hidden epidemic that's stealing your future right from under your nose, the deadly combination of laziness and poor time management. More importantly, we're going to arm you with practical strategies to overcome these silent killers of potential. This isn't just another motivational talk that will make you feel good for a few hours before you slip back into old habits. This is about fundamental transformation, creating lasting discipline that will carry you through when motivation inevitably fades. The path from where you are to where you want to be isn't paved with good intentions. It's built brick by brick through consistent action, strategic time management, and the courage to push beyond comfort. So ask yourself, are you ready to make the shift from dreaming to doing? Are you prepared to trade temporary comfort for lasting achievement? Because by the end of our time together, you'll have the blueprint to transform laziness into legacy. Let's begin with understanding the true cost of laziness, a cost far greater than most people ever realize until it's too late. When we talk about laziness, we're not just talking about physical inactivity. We're addressing a mindset, a pattern of choosing immediate comfort over long-term growth, of settling for mediocrity when excellence is within reach, of making excuses instead of making progress. Laziness is insidious because it doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with warning signs. Instead, it creeps in gradually, disguised as rest, self-care, or taking it easy. Before you know it, what started as an occasional break becomes a lifestyle of inaction. Consider this. According to research from the University of Chicago, the average person wastes about 2 to 3 hours daily on unproductive activities. That's 21 hours per week. Over a year, that's 192 hours, the equivalent of 30 to 45 full days. Now multiply that by a lifetime. You're potentially wasting years of your life, years you'll never get back. But the cost goes beyond just time. Laziness exacts a toll on your self-esteem, your relationships, your financial potential, and even your health. Each time you choose the easy path when you know you should take the harder one, you're not just losing time, you're losing a piece of your self-respect. Each unfulfilled promise to yourself erodes your self-trust. Each abandoned goal weakens your belief in what's possible. Think about someone you deeply admire, someone who's achieved greatness in their field. Now ask yourself, did they get there by taking the path of least resistance, by procrastinating on their dreams, by surrendering to laziness when the work got challenging? The sobering truth is that success, real meaningful success, is never accidental. It's the product of intentional effort applied consistently over time, and that's where most people falter. They want the results without the work. They want the glory without the grind. They want the achievement without the sacrifice. But here's the reality. There is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. And each step requires overcoming the gravitational pull of laziness that constantly tries to keep you down. So why do we fall into these traps? Why does laziness have such a powerful hold on us? The answer lies in how our brains are wired. Human beings are naturally programmed to conserve energy. Our ancestors evolved in environments where resources were scarce and energy conservation meant survival. Those who expended energy unnecessarily reduced their chances of surviving long enough to pass on their genes. In essence, we're fighting against our own biological programming when we battle laziness. Our brain's default setting is to seek comfort and avoid discomfort. That's why willpower alone is rarely enough. We need systems, strategies, and mindset shifts that work with our psychology, not against it. This brings us to one of the most important distinctions you'll ever learn: the difference between motivation and discipline. Motivation is like a spark. It burns bright but fades quickly. It's influenced by mood, circumstances, and external factors beyond your control. If you rely solely on motivation to drive your actions, you'll find yourself inconsistent, starting projects with enthusiasm, only to abandon them when the initial excitement wears off. Discipline, on the other hand, is a flame that burns steadily regardless of external conditions. It's the ability to do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. It's showing up day after day, especially on the days when you don't want to. As author Jim Rohn famously said, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Without it, even the most brilliant strategies and ambitious goals remain nothing more than wishful thinking. So how do we cultivate discipline? It starts with understanding that discipline isn't a personality trait you're either born with or without. It's a skill, one that can be developed through consistent practice and the right approach. Think of discipline as a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Each time you choose the harder but more rewarding path over the easier but less fulfilling one, you're strengthening your discipline muscle. Each time you follow through on a commitment to yourself, you're building that muscle. Each time you resist the pull of distraction in favor of focused work, you're toning that muscle. But like physical muscles, your discipline muscle needs a progressive training regimen. You wouldn't walk into a gym for the first time and try to lift 300 pounds. Similarly, you shouldn't expect yourself to transform overnight from someone who struggles with basic habits to someone who exhibits monk-like discipline in all areas of life. Start small. Choose one area where you want to develop more discipline. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier. Maybe it's dedicating 1 hour each day to a skill you want to master. Maybe it's eliminating a particular distraction that consistently steals your time. Whatever you choose, make it specific, measurable, and achievable. Then commit to it for 30 days. No exceptions, no excuses. Research shows that it takes about this long for a new behavior to begin becoming habitual. During these 30 days, you'll face resistance. Your brain will generate compelling reasons why, just this once, you should skip your commitment. This is where most people fail. They negotiate with themselves, making exceptions that eventually become the rule. The key is to recognize that these moments of resistance are actually the most valuable training opportunities for your discipline muscle. Just as a muscle grows stronger when it pushes against resistance, your discipline grows stronger when you push through psychological resistance. As author Steven Pressfield writes in his book, The War of Art, this resistance is a natural force that arises whenever we attempt to elevate ourselves to a higher level. He says, the more important a call or action is to our soul's evolution, the more resistance we will feel toward pursuing it. Understanding this helps us recognize that resistance isn't a sign we should stop. It's a sign we're moving in the right direction. The discomfort we feel when pushing beyond laziness is the sensation of growth. Now let's move beyond the theoretical and get tactical about how discipline manifests in effective time management. Time management isn't just about productivity hacks or organizing your calendar. At its core, it's about value alignment, ensuring that how you spend your time reflects what you claim to value. If you say your health is a priority but can't find 30 minutes for exercise, there's a misalignment. If you claim your family is important but consistently work through dinner, there's a misalignment. If you talk about writing a book but never make time to write, there's a misalignment. The first step in effective time management is an honest audit of how you currently spend your time. For 1 week, track your activities in 30-minute increments. Be ruthlessly honest. No judgment, just data collection. At the end of the week, analyze where your time is actually going. Most people are shocked to discover how much time they waste on activities that provide little value or joy. Once you have this data, categorize your activities into 4 quadrants based on importance and urgency. Quadrant 1, important and urgent. Crises, pressing problems, deadline-driven projects. Quadrant 2, important but not urgent. preparation, prevention, planning, relationship building. Quadrant 3, urgent but not important. Interruptions, some meetings, many emails. Quadrant 4, neither urgent nor important. Trivia, time wasters, pleasant activities. The key insight from this exercise, as taught by Stephen Covey, is that most people spend too much time in quadrants 1, 3, and 4 and not enough in quadrant 2. Yet quadrant 2 is where the activities that truly transform your life reside. The planning, preparation, and deep work that prevents crises and creates meaningful progress. Lazy people in particular tend to gravitate toward quadrant 4 activities. Mindless scrolling, excessive TV watching, and other passive consumption that provides immediate gratification but zero long-term benefit. They may occasionally rush into quadrant 1 when a crisis forces action, but they rarely spend time in the life-changing quadrant 2. To break this pattern, start by identifying your 3 most important quadrant 2 activities, the ones that would move the needle most significantly toward your goals if you consistently dedicated time to them. Then, schedule these activities first in your week, before anything else can claim that time. This is the essence of what author Cal Newport calls deep work, the professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their limit. These are the activities that create new value, improve your skills, and are hard to replicate. But identifying these activities is only half the battle. The other half is creating the conditions that make it possible to engage in them consistently. This is where environment design becomes crucial. Your environment has a profound impact on your behavior. We often underestimate how much our surroundings shape our actions, attributing too much to willpower and not enough to context. As James Clear writes in Atomic Habits, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. A critical part of those systems is your environment, both physical and social. Let's start with your physical environment. Look around your workspace. Is it optimized for focus or distraction? Do you have easy access to time-wasting temptations? Is your phone within reach, ready to steal your attention with every notification? Redesigning your environment to support your goals rather than undermine them can dramatically reduce the amount of willpower required to stay disciplined. Put your phone in another room when working. Use website blockers during designated focus times. Prepare healthy meals in advance, so the easiest choice is also the healthiest one. But your social environment may be even more influential than your physical one. As motivational speaker Jim Rohn famously said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." This isn't just a catchy phrase, it's supported by research in social psychology. Take a moment to evaluate your inner circle. Do they inspire you to be better, or do they normalize mediocrity? Do they respect your ambitions, or do they subtly undermine them? Do they hold you accountable, or do they enable your excuses? This isn't about judging others or being elitist. It's about recognizing that humans are social creatures profoundly influenced by our tribes. If you're trying to overcome laziness while surrounded by people who celebrate it, you're fighting an uphill battle. Conversely, when you're surrounded by disciplined, ambitious people, their habits and standards naturally pull you up. If you can't immediately change your social circle, you can still curate your influences. Books, podcasts, online communities, these can serve as a virtual peer group that elevates your standards, even when your immediate environment doesn't. Now, let's address one of the most common killers of discipline and effective time management: excuses. Excuses are the lies we tell ourselves to avoid discomfort. They're the stories we craft to justify inaction. They're the protective mechanisms our brain creates to maintain the status quo. I'm too tired. I don't have enough time. I'm not in the right mood. I'll start tomorrow. One more episode won't hurt. I deserve a break. Sound familiar? These aren't harmless thoughts. They're the battleground where your future is decided. Each time you buy into an excuse, you're choosing immediate comfort over long-term success. You're reinforcing neural pathways that make it easier to choose laziness next time. Breaking the excuse habit requires 2 steps: awareness and substitution. First, become aware of your go-to excuses. Write them down. Sometimes just seeing them on paper reveals how flimsy they really are. Second, create predetermined responses to these excuses, counter-arguments that you've prepared in advance. When your brain says, "I'm too tired to work out," your prepared response might be, "Exercise actually increases energy. I only need to do 5 minutes, and then I can reassess." When it says, "I'll start this project tomorrow when I have more time," your response might be, "There will never be a perfect time. Starting with just 15 minutes now is better than waiting for an ideal scenario that won't come." This practice of recognizing and counteracting excuses is what psychologists call cognitive restructuring, actively changing thought patterns that don't serve your goals. But beyond excuses, there's a deeper issue many people face: the fear of failure that often masquerades as laziness. Sometimes what looks like laziness is actually fear in disguise. Fear of not being good enough, fear of being judged, fear of putting in effort and still falling short. It can feel safer not to try than to try and fail. But as author J.K. Rowling said, it is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you fail by default. The antidote to this fear isn't courage, it's clarity. When you're crystal clear about why your goals matter to you, when the pain of not pursuing them becomes greater than the fear of failure, action becomes inevitable. This brings us to the critical role of goal setting in overcoming laziness and managing time effectively. Goals provide direction, purpose, and motivation. Without them, discipline lacks context. It's like having a powerful engine, but no destination. But not all goals are created equal. The way you frame your goals can either set you up for success or failure. Effective goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, the famous SMART criteria. But beyond these technical aspects, truly powerful goals have emotional resonance. They connect to your deeper values and aspirations. When setting goals, ask yourself, if I achieve this, how will it change my life? How will it make me feel? What will it enable me to do or become? The stronger the emotional connection to your goal, the more likely you are to overcome laziness to pursue it. But even the most inspiring goals can seem overwhelming when viewed in their entirety. This is where the practice of breaking goals down into smaller steps becomes essential. Instead of focusing on writing a book, focus on writing 500 words today. Instead of thinking about losing 50 pounds, focus on making one healthy choice at your next meal. Instead of dwelling on building a successful business, focus on completing the next action that moves you forward. This approach, what psychologist B.J. Fogg calls tiny habits, reduces the activation energy required to start. It makes the path forward clear and doable, eliminating the overwhelm that often leads to procrastination. As you accumulate these small wins, you build momentum. Each completed task, no matter how small, releases dopamine in your brain, creating a positive feedback loop that makes the next action easier. This is how lazy people transform into productive ones, not through sudden dramatic changes, but through consistent small actions that compound over time. Speaking of compounding, let's discuss one of the most powerful concepts in personal development, the compound effect. As author Darren Hardy explains, the compound effect is the principle of reaping massive rewards from a series of small, seemingly insignificant choices. Just as money compounds in finance, actions compound in life. Consider this. If you improve just 1% each day, after a year you'll be 37 times better, not just 365% better due to compounding. Conversely, if you decline by 1% each day, after a year you'll have lost almost everything. This mathematical reality reveals why seemingly small choices, reading for 30 minutes versus scrolling social media, taking the stairs versus the elevator, working on your side project versus watching another episode, matter so much in the long run. The tragedy is that most people never see the compound effect in action because they give up too soon. They don't recognize that the most powerful results come after the consistency threshold, the point where enough small actions have accumulated to create visible change. This is why patience and persistence are just as important as discipline and time management. The results you seek often lag behind the efforts you make. Understanding this lag, what author Seth Godin calls the dip, can help you persist when immediate results aren't visible. Now, let's explore another crucial aspect of overcoming laziness, the role of energy management. Time management without energy management is like having a full tank of gas in a car with a dead battery. You can't effectively use your time if you don't have the physical and mental energy to focus. Lazy people often ignore this reality. They stay up late, eat poorly, skip exercise, and then wonder why they can't find the motivation to pursue their goals. They treat their bodies like they're separate from their minds, failing to recognize the profound connection between physical vitality and mental performance. Your brain consumes about 20% of your body's energy, despite being only 2% of your body weight. Every decision, every focused work session, every creative endeavor draws from this limited energy reserve. When you neglect sleep, nutrition, hydration, and movement, you're directly undermining your cognitive capacity. Creating a sustainable energy management practice involves 4 key areas. First, sleep. Nothing sabotages productivity like sleep deprivation. The research is clear. Adults need 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. There are no shortcuts here. Prioritizing sleep isn't lazy, it's strategic. Second, nutrition. Your brain runs on the fuel you provide. Processed foods, excess sugar, and irregular eating patterns create energy spikes and crashes that make consistent action nearly impossible. Focus on whole foods, regular meals, and proper hydration. Third, movement. Exercise isn't just for your body, it's for your brain. Physical activity increases blood flow to the brain, releases mood-enhancing hormones, and improves cognitive function. Even short bursts of movement throughout the day can significantly impact your energy and focus. Fourth, stress management. Chronic stress depletes energy and impairs decision-making. Practices like meditation, deep breathing, time in nature, and meaningful connection with others aren't luxuries. They're necessities for optimal brain function. By optimizing these 4 areas, you create an energy reservoir that makes disciplined action sustainable rather than depleting. You move from forcing yourself to take action to having the natural energy to pursue your goals. This brings us to another key insight, the relationship between identity and behavior. Many people approach overcoming laziness from the outside in. They focus on changing behaviors without addressing the underlying identity that drives those behaviors. But as James Clear points out in Atomic Habits, the most effective behavior change happens from the inside out, starting with identity. When you say, "I'm trying to be more productive," you're still operating from the identity of someone who isn't naturally productive. The shift happens when you begin saying, "I am a productive person," and then act in alignment with that identity. This isn't about positive affirmations or wishful thinking. It's about consciously choosing who you want to be and then proving it to yourself through small, consistent actions. Each time you act in accordance with your chosen identity, you reinforce it. Each time you skip the action, you weaken it. As Clear writes, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. When you choose focused work over distraction, you're voting for being a disciplined person. When you choose exercise over laziness, you're voting for being a healthy person. These votes accumulate over time, gradually reshaping your self-concept. This identity-based approach is particularly powerful for overcoming laziness because it shifts the internal narrative from "I have to do this" to "this is who I am." When discipline becomes part of your identity rather than something you're forcing yourself to do, consistency becomes natural. Now, let's address one of the most common barriers to effective time management and discipline: digital distraction. We live in an age of unprecedented distraction. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day, about once every 10 minutes. Each app, website, and platform is engineered to capture and hold your attention, leveraging the same psychological principles that make slot machines addictive. This environment makes laziness not just easy, but almost inevitable. When the path of least resistance leads to infinite scrolling, binge-watching, and constant checking, choosing focused work requires swimming against a powerful current. Reclaiming your attention starts with awareness. Most people don't realize how often they reach for their phones or how much time they spend on low-value digital activities. Apps like Rescue Time, Freedom, or Screen Time can provide this awareness by tracking your digital habits. Once you have this data, create boundaries. Schedule specific times for checking email and social media, rather than allowing them to interrupt your day constantly. Use website blockers during designated focus periods. Consider a digital sunset, a time each evening when screens are turned off to allow your brain to wind down. But beyond these tactical approaches, consider a more fundamental question. What are you crowding out with digital distraction? What books aren't being read? What conversations aren't happening? What goals aren't being pursued because of time lost to screens? As author Annie Dillard wrote, "How we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives." When you allow digital distraction to claim your attention, you're not just losing hours, you're losing your life in real time. This brings us to a deeper dimension of overcoming laziness, finding purpose and meaning in your work. Viktor Frankl, psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, observed that people can endure almost any hardship if they have a why, a reason that makes the suffering worthwhile. This applies not just to extreme situations, but to everyday challenges like overcoming laziness and managing time effectively. When your work connects to a purpose larger than yourself, discipline becomes less of a struggle. You're no longer just completing tasks, you're fulfilling a mission. You're not just managing time, you're investing it in something that matters. This doesn't mean every task has to feel deeply meaningful, but it does mean connecting even routine activities to your larger purpose. Answering emails isn't just clearing your inbox, it's advancing projects that serve your mission. Exercise isn't just burning calories, it's building the energy and vitality needed to do your best work. Finding this sense of purpose requires reflection and clarity. Ask yourself, what change do I want to create in the world? Who am I uniquely positioned to help? What problems am I drawn to solving? The answers to these questions can transform how you approach your time and energy. As we begin to wrap up our exploration, let's address one final aspect of overcoming laziness, the power of accountability. Most people overestimate their ability to hold themselves accountable. They make private commitments, break them when things get tough, and then repeat the cycle with no consequences. This pattern reinforces laziness rather than overcoming it. External accountability changes this dynamic. When others know about your commitments, the social cost of not following through becomes a powerful motivator. This could be a mentor, a coach, an accountability partner, or even a public declaration of your intentions. The most effective accountability combines support with consequences. Support provides encouragement when motivation wanes, while consequences create a healthy pressure to follow through. Consider creating specific accountability structures for your most important goals. This might look like weekly check-ins with a partner, financial stakes, like donating to a cause you dislike if you miss your targets, or using apps like Stick that formalize these arrangements. Now, as we reach the end of our journey together, let's integrate everything we've explored into a practical framework for transformation. The path from laziness to discipline, from wasted time to meaningful productivity, is not a straight line. It's a spiral of continuous growth and refinement. It involves setbacks and victories, moments of flow and periods of struggle. The key is consistency, returning to the path even after inevitable detours. Here's a 30-day challenge to begin your transformation. Week 1. Awareness Day. 1 to 3. Track your time in 30-minute increments to establish a baseline. Day 4, 5. Identify your top 3 time wasters and your 3 most important Quadrant 2 activities. Day 6 to 7. Create a weekly schedule that prioritizes your important activities before anything else. Week 2, Environment. Day 8, 10. Redesign your physical environment to support focus and minimize distraction. Day 11, 14. Audit your social environment and make one change to surround yourself with more positive influences. Week 3. Energy Day. 15 to 17. Establish a consistent sleep schedule, going to bed and waking up at the same time each day. Day 18 to 21. Implement a simple movement practice daily, even if it's just a 10-minute walk. Week 4. Identity and accountability. Day 22 to 24. Write a statement describing the person you're becoming, then identify 3 small daily actions that align with this identity. Day 25 to 28. Share your commitments with someone who will hold you accountable with clear check-in times. Day 29 to 30. Reflect on your progress, celebrate wins, and adjust your approach based on what you've learned. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a victory over laziness. Each moment of focused work is a reclamation of your time and potential. As you move forward, hold on to this truth. Your future is created in the present. The person you'll be 5 years from now is determined by the choices you make today, tomorrow, and the day after. Time will pass regardless of how you use it. The question is whether it will pass leaving you with growth and achievement or regret and unfulfilled potential. When you find yourself at a crossroads between comfort and growth, between laziness and discipline, remember that you're not just choosing what to do in that moment, you're choosing who to become. You're casting a vote for your future self. Choose wisely, choose consistently, choose the path that your future self will thank you for. And remember, the journey from laziness to discipline isn't about becoming a different person. It's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about clearing away the distractions and excuses that keep you from expressing your true potential. The world needs what only you can give. Your unique contribution matters. Don't let laziness rob us of your gifts. So, what's the first action you'll take when this video ends? What small step will you commit to right now? Share it in the comments below, and let's build a community of accountability to support each other's growth. If you found value in this video, please like and subscribe for more content on personal development and productivity. And most importantly, take action. Because knowledge without action is merely entertainment, but knowledge with action can transform your life. Thank you for your time and attention. Now go make today count.